Check, check, checkity check. All right. We are live. All right. Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone had a great day today. We're going to take a look at the markets and try to make this as quick as possible so you can get some rest. I hope today was a tough day for me. I had a red day, needless to say, so I will be scaling back down to one contract until I make back 50% of that loss. So I probably won't live trade because I noticed that during live trading I'm not ready for that yet. I would love to be able to trade with you, but I'm just not ready for that yet. So I'm gonna trade off on the side, but I will continue to write out what price action I'm going to take. Hopefully you can forgive me for that, but it'll help me grow in the long run and be able to manage the risk accordingly. So there's going to be some days like this. That's okay. It's expected. So let's head over to the charts now and then see what's going on there. So let's head there. Okay, so tomorrow we have a key unemployment claim at 8:30 a.m. So we're going to see volatility then. We're going to look at the markets and see what else happened because in the morning you've got a lot of Fed speakers, 9:25 right before open. You've got a Fed speaker at 10:30, an AHP housing market index. So you have a few low, some small items there. And then, of course, Barr speaks at 10:35. So you're going to see a little bit of goofiness, probably in that 10 to 11 silver bullet time frame. So we're going to definitely be watching the market tomorrow. I will be able to be with you here in the morning the whole way through. So I will be here on camera, kind of like speaking through what I think is there, trying to look at chat when I can. But for the time being, let's take a look at what happened today. So let's go on the NASDAQ. Let's open up a larger screen and let's go to the daily. So this has been an interesting week, right? Very interesting week. So remember, we started off here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we had some pretty ridiculous price action today, or actually yesterday, sorry. And even today we ended up spiking all the way up into this daily volume imbalance, right? We knew that we were gonna be going up into potentially that volume imbalance, but what I did not expect is for us to go down as far as we did. I was thinking that we would, we did say that it could reject from there, but if it was going to close above the volume imbalance, I was thinking that we would go to take out this relative equal high. We did not close above that, and against my better intention and better bias, where we were thinking bias would go down to the downside. And actually, I realized I didn't open up my data. Let's make sure that this data is running. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now it should be running here. There we go. That's what we wanted. So today's price action is this down candle here. We see that we spiked up through this volume imbalance and then it came immediately rejected deck downwards, right? So we actually closed below this fair value gap here. So we didn't fully have a candle close above this daily imbalance. We went up to the volume imbalance, but we didn't close on the daily. So that being said, we have the open of the week, a low, currently a high, and we've taken out a previous monthly, we kind of went to a monthly level and we took that out, but we couldn't get any higher. So that kind of leaves us with this fair value gap down below here for us to potentially drive back down into. One thing that I want you to note, we took out this short-term high, of course, but there's these short-term highs here and here, and I'm going to mark them both, and you probably should be aware of them at the very least so that you can you can know what's like there's a low, high, lower, low, higher, high. So if this treats this as a bullish breaker, I actually don't think it's going to treat this one. So I'm going to keep this one lower. But I do think that this one being closer to the midpoint of this fair value gap, I think that this high of 15,719.75, I think this certainly can serve as a potential bullish breaker here. I call it a mitigation block. It's the same thing. It just depends on the setup that's there. If there's a low, high, lower, low, and then a displacement higher, if we come back down here, there's going to be shorts that went short here, right? They held, they got stopped, or they didn't stop out. And now that it's here, they are going to try to buy to cover their shorts. And then smart money will also buy at that point in time to pair up with those short coverings, and they'll take the market upwards to take out this relative equal high for weekly expansion. I do think that we can head down into this area before we head back up to aim for this by the end of the week. That's my initial thought. I haven't seen major evidence of us completing a reversal, but we did take out this high, right? So we took out that high and we closed beneath it right now. So what am I looking for tomorrow? Well, while I know on the weekly it's still meant to, we're meant to typically expand until we hit a higher time frame area of liquidity. That could be this monthly premium SIBI low, these red lines here. That could be this daily volume imbalance, right? We certainly do have a gap to go downside. So I like us traveling down to 15,719.75 first to continue upwards motion. So that's what I'll be looking for. That's my initial bias, rather. We could see an institutional order flow entry here and just see it skyrocket all the way back up, but we've taken out, you know, a few premium PD arrays this week. So we hit this daily imbalance that was left open. We traded above it to this volume imbalance and liquidity gap, a liquidity void. And so it wouldn't be far-fetched to think that we do have some level of retracement left. So let's head down into the 60-minute to take a look and see. So today, over here, let's zoom in a little bit here. So today's price action during London, so Asia, London, we only had a sell side on London marked out. And when we saw this spike up, that should have given us, and spike all the way back down, that should have given us some indication that, hey, things are about to change a little bit. So this short-term low was violated here. We did go back up into this order block, but right when we went up into that order block, this was the high probability play, right? So we went up, took out buy side, quickly went down, and saw displacement below a short-term low. So this is what I should have been looking for on the 1 hour. And I did see it, but I didn't act on it. So that was the difficult piece there, right? So when we traded back up into this order block, I should have seen that on the hourly. I should have been looking for that on the hourly and taken that short. So we will take a look into that on the lower time frames to see why that would have been a good short. And it actually heads back down into this same sell side liquidity. So there's a third option here, but it wasn't as easy to see. But yeah, I mean, that's what we have on the hourly. We did not see any sort of, I mean, there really wasn't much here. There was this short-term high here. And if you were savvy, maybe if you were lucky enough, you would have marked this here. That would have been really tough to take anyways, because it barely spiked above that. And how would you know it couldn't have gone higher, right? So I didn't have that marked, therefore I didn't see it there. So moral of the story, mark down your short-term highs on the daily time frame, because they're going to be referred to. Even if it makes your chart get a little cluttered, you know, try to make sure you mark those out. Okay. Okay, so once we created that displacement lower here, we can see that price came down, went back up, went to this bearish order block, came back down, went to this bearish order block, came back down, and now we're in Asia right now where it came down. So let's cut down to the 15-minute chart then. So let's look at today's price action once more. We'll have to keep this up here because we have yesterday's price action there. So we knew that there was this low that we potentially could aim for. We actually never got there, I don't think. Let's see. 500, and then let's put this out to 16. Yeah, it doesn't look like we got in there just yet, but these other sell side liquidities we did get to. So you can kind of see here that Asia, London, we woke up 7 a.m., right? We saw that price was reaching upwards when we don't want to be trading this. This spikes up from 1600 to 1640, so about 40 points, and hits a buy side liquidity area, which is a previous short-term high, and coincidentally just rockets back down. So it does form this short-term low here, and once price comes back up to tag this fair value gap right there, that was a high probability short, because one, we had this short-term low and this short-term low and this short-term low even completely violated by this displacement candle. So we expect that price to come back up here at some point, and we could be a seller at that time. Takes patience. That's what I typically would be looking for. Today I was not as disciplined. I think it was because I was trying to trade live, and my performance reflects that. So I will probably still be very focused, but I'm not going to keep the live trades on there. Not for a while, at least. I will trade one micro, and I will stick to that until I rebuild the account up a little bit past the 50% mark of the drawdown. Okay, so after this move, right, we never return back to this fair value gap here, and that should have been an indication that we are heading lower. Also, we did come back up to this mitigation block here. So we see relative equal lows here form. We see displacement lower. So we can kind of see this treated as a mitigation block here. This box here, this one bar could be treated as that too. We trade up to the consequent encroachment of that, and then we dip for the rest of the afternoon. Unfortunately, I had calls all throughout the day, so that was another thing that I definitely need to make sure that if there is a meeting with a day with serrated meetings, you don't trade those days. That's something that I need to stick to. As much as I like trading, cannot trade during those days. So let's go down to a lower time frame and see if we can see any other entries, right? So let's see if anything shows up on the 5-minute. Okay, so here's the 5-minute chart. So remember, this is the hourly here. So there's one entry here. This entry was roughly 15,974, 973, 970. You know, anything around that area would have been good. And then 5, 10, 15, all the way down to 15,937. So this would have been like 15,974 to 37. So about, 40, 30 points just to this sell side liquidity. And we could see that it continued going, right? So what we probably would have or should have done, let me go back to my fib. And so we had a high, low, higher high, lower low. So I wanted to take this, project out to where we could see. So this first high to low, higher high, and then the lower low. I wanted to project out and see where we could possibly go to. I believe it's on this first leg down to see, kind of like use that as a swing projection to see where we can go to. And we went to the minus 250 mark there, and which is close to a sell side liquidity here. This was London's low. So when we saw this big displacement, our key first thought should have been, hey, look at that big fair value gap on the 15-minute. It's going to go back up there. And when it does, I'm going to take it short. And so that's what would have been perfect. A perfect short would have been this high probability short within displacement. Short once buy side got taken here. Take a high probability short, hold it, maybe take some profit here, but hold it for the extension of the range to the London low, and then exit here. That would have been the perfect play. Now let's look down on the minute chart, see if we can see anything during that time. We're focusing solely on A+ plays, right? So let me remove this real quick. Okay, so on the minute chart even, what do we see here? So 8:30 a.m. hits, right? 8:30 a.m. hits, boom. You see it jack up and then jack back down, jack back down. We see us take out these relative equal lows here, right? So naturally we think, okay, well, where could we head up to? Is there anywhere we could head up to? Well, there wasn't on the 1 minute. There wasn't. This fair value gap's a breakaway gap. We see that price continues down. All of these are being tagged, but there was this mitigation block here. So that's kind of like why price reacted right where it was, and then it continued heading down. We see this first entry short, takes it a little bit early, and then we see that price comes up, tags it, and then takes out sell side. So very difficult to see if there's any entries within this area. The only thing would have been the consequent encroachment of this wick, this fair value gap, and then this bearish order block. Those are things to the top side that I was looking for evidence that it would continue further. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything else other than that. Let's take a look at actually let's take a look at a 5-second chart and see if there's anything that was there. Where is my okay, getting closer. There we go. So this was it. This was the 8:30 a.m. run, right? Continues. And then we see some return back to that area, right? So let's zoom in on this area. So right here you see price kind of like hit a high, low, higher, high. I'm gonna keep this here for the time being. And we kind of see how, okay, well, this is a fair value gap. There is one up here. There is one up here. So we give it the leeway to head up there. But we know that this is one major fair value gap here. So we could have started to take this short. And your exit would have been at this sell side liquidity area, right? So that would have been sometime a little bit less than 15,934. You would have gotten closed out there. So what does that to end up being 15,490 15,938. Well, if you entered here 15,962, 15,937, so about 25 handles there. It's not a lot, but it is enough, right? So that, I think, was one of the key ones I wanted to look at. Okay, so let's take this back to the daily and then move this off of the charts. Any questions around? Any questions in the channel? Okay. I'll keep an eye out if there's any questions for sure. So lastly, what do we do now? You know, what could possibly happen now? So I'll leave that as an hourly. I will go to mine. Where was that? Well, either way, right now Asia is heading down to take out that sell side liquidity, which hasn't yet been tagged. Like you see this one here, 15,894.50. So let's do this. 15,894. Short-term low. Cool. All right, so tomorrow, I mean, still remains to be seen, but I have this mitigation block in mind to the downside. I'd be curious to see if it hits. And then I've got somebody, well, yeah, it doesn't really look like it wants to move per se. It looks like it's done most of this move so far, but you never know. It can certainly spike up. From the higher time frame, you know, we would like to see things go south, but only in an area where we have entered and that we'll know quickly if we're offsides. That's what those static stop losses are for. If you're trying to trade during heavily volatile sessions, there's a good chance that your order will be picked up, you know? Okay, I think that's it for today. I will see everybody bright and early in the morning. Oh, you answered it in your recap. My question was, what was the high probability trade of the day? Yeah. So the key there is gonna be like seeing that on a higher time frame. You know, there's always something there, but you know, the hourly you can use for key levels, like we had here, but when we know those key levels and we know something is bound to happen at them, that's when we can go down to these lower time frames, and that's when we can see like, oh yeah, you know, oops, I'm looking at a 5 minute. This should be on the 15 minute. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's this big displacement candle on the 15 that can kind of finesse your entry. So I will go back to being diligent and I'll repair the drawdown from today and continue to work, you know, little by little, one contract at a time. I won't size up until I make back half of my money. So yeah, I think that'll be it. And I think that is it for today. 8:30 a.m. tomorrow is going to be a pretty big one. So if there's any other questions, one thing to, I'm done with the charts here, so I'm going to come back to the webcam only. One thing that I noticed about the streams, so if you've noticed, I've started to cut out a lot during the middle of the day and sometimes during the morning. I I think that's because my internet service provider really sucks. They might be throttling me. They might be it might just be too many like objects. I have like 1 gigabit of download speed, but the upload speed's 35, so kilobits per second, and it's really bad. So I think that it's probably a combination of me streaming and having a bunch of other things like my work laptop, having that running on meetings and stuff like that. I think that's why we start to see packets being lost, and that's what drops the stream, unfortunately. So until I live around fiber, it's very possible that my stream drops. In that case, there's nothing I can really do there if I'm in meetings for hours upon hours. So I will, when I notice it, I'll try to restart it, but it's possible that during work days that I'm physically at home and I'm recording here while I'm also on calls, it's possible that messes with the recording. So I apologize for having those drops. I wish I could capture everything, but at the end of the day, it is, work with what you got, I guess. So blame Elon, Skynet. Yeah, I know. I mean, hey, if their upload speed's ridiculous, maybe it's worthwhile paying for it, I don't know, man. We'll see. But for now, I think we'll just pray to God, fingers crossed that it doesn't drop. Like right now, it's totally fine. I'm only streaming here, and that's it, right? So seems okay for now. But what we'll do is we'll come back tomorrow morning, and we'll get prepared to trade following the 8:30 a.m. news. And yeah, I think there's a lot of liquidity to the downside, as we all know. There's that liquidity area to fill. There's this old mitigation block that we could aim for. It could honestly go take out the whole thing. I've seen this happen as well. So I'm thinking that while I'm not sure if we've made the high of the week yet, I'm thinking we're going to retrace a little bit tomorrow. Make shorts think that, maybe make some shorts think that, hey, it's safe to go heavy, and then jack them up once more to maybe take out a little bit more. I don't know. There's not too much that's to the upside here. There's some relative equal highs here, daily volume imbalance, premium Sibi high, and a untouched short-term high on the buy side. So yeah, I am going to close the stream for today. Kirk, is there anything else that you've been wondering? Anything else? I guess I can go to the charts. Anything else on the charts that I can kind of like walk through or talk about? It's easier. It's much easier in retrospect. A lot more difficult live, right? And if there's anything that any concepts, ICT concepts or anything like that that you want to learn more about, happy to talk through those. I think my boy JP wanted me to talk about breakers. So I think when I see examples next, I'll try to point them out. But yeah, I mean, anybody with some time on YouTube can go study ICT stuff for free, and that's the beauty of it, right? So okay, well, cool. We know that we're trying to look for a play to the downside tomorrow first, aiming for that 15,719.75 old short-term high. Apparently I can't go all the way back there, huh? But it's that one in there. So we want to keep our eyes on that, and then we'll see what happens tomorrow. Yeah. Okay, well, go get some rest. Appreciate having you here as always. I love being able to bounce some things and ideas off of you, and then we'll come back bright and early in the morning to identify what kind of stops occurred in London and Asia, what happened in those high lows, so we can get a glimpse as to what price wants to do and continue to do. So with that, I'm going to close down the stream, and thanks again. Hopefully you get some good rest tonight, okay? Take care and have a good night. Peace.